Hi, I'm Katelyn Cartwright. I am the Senior Associate in Education here at the Innovation Hub, and today we're going to explore underglazes and surface design on clay. Today we're talking about underglazes, and underglazes are one of the most versatile tools in the ceramic studio. They are very closely related to the actual structure of clay, and so they are very predictable. They don't run in the kiln. The colors are pretty true to what you would get. They can be applied in various ways, which we'll talk about. You can also use them before clay is fired, which is on greenware, or after it's fired, which is BISQUEWARE, which is something you can't do with other glazes. There's a lot of different techniques that you can do, and we're just going to cover a few today. So the first process I wanted to show you was a SGRAFFITO, and it's something that you do on greenware. Greenware being unfired clay. You don't want your clay to be too hard, but you do want it to be hard enough to where it doesn't move around when you touch it anymore. You're going to do a few layers of your underglaze. You can do the traditional SGRAFFITO in black, or a layered SGRAFFITO with different layers of colors, as long as those layers are pretty thick. And SGRAFFITO means to scratch, or scratch in Italian, and so that's what you're doing. You're scratching your design out. So the wonderful thing about underglazes is that you can use them before it's fired when it's still greenware, or after it's fired on bisque, which is more popular, I think. You can apply your underglazes with a variety of tools, all kinds of brushes and sponges. As you can see here, there are just infinite ways to do that. So with underglazes, you can apply directly from the bottle to your pottery using sponges of different textures, shapes, and sizes, or brushes, same thing. Any kind of brush shape or size that you like to use. I recommend kind of playing with a lot of different ways to apply it. You can also water down your underglaze, and so you have a darker saturation right out of the bottle, but you can use it kind of like watercolor. So that's really an interesting thing to do, and kind of mixing up those techniques are really interesting. So one of the really cool things about underglazes is that unlike other glazes, you can really predict what colors you're going to have in your end product. And instead of purchasing all of the wonderful colors that are available, if you want to save money, you can actually mix your own colors. And that's pretty unique to underglazes. With underglazes, you can actually change the saturation. And if you are familiar with watercoloring, it could be an interesting thing for you to try. You can take your pigment from your underglaze container, put them on a different container or surface, and add some water. You can layer those colors and get a kind of a really neat watercolor effect. So underglazes are unique in that they stay exactly where you put them on your pottery. Other glazes might run, but these are very predictable. So if you're trying to get really clear, precise imagery or line work, squeeze bottles are a really good way to do that. You can just kind of squeeze and make very nice squiggly lines or straight lines. You can also do dots. It's a really good tool for really precise imagery and drawing. So because the underglazes will stay exactly where you put them, and you can use the sponge to apply your color, making your own kind of masking tape stencils and shapes to mask certain parts of your pottery is a really interesting thing to do to add some layers and texture. You can also use store-bought stencils if you'd like. I like to keep my shapes kind of simple, but you can get pretty intricate with your hand-cut tape or paper. So another fun thing you can do with your underglaze is water it down and add a few drops of dish soap. My favorite is Dawn, and actually blow bubbles onto your pottery, leaving that kind of bubble texture. It's a really interesting thing to do, and it's really fun to do with the kids. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to all of our social media at the Innovation Hub.